The day after posting the Laos Outdoors video, I woke up from my nap and started scrolling through the comments, which had grown to several hundred, which I only skimmed over. The red reminder corner of the private message blinked on and off, and I clicked on it. Even though you cut and spliced it through, I still know what you did that day. It was followed by a grinning emoji. My heart clenched. The sender's screen name was Border Knight. Was such a name meant to mean something, or was it a coincidence? I couldn't take any chances, so I replied to the message. What does it mean? The reply came quickly. If you want to know what it means, I'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. at Ujima Coffee. You won't call the police, will you? What the hell does he know? What did he want? I didn't reply again. I had to meet him no matter what. The Upper Island Coffee on Lee Man Road opened the year before last. Though was slightly outdated, and the coffee tasted average, as if it had an earthy flavor. It was 7 o'clock in the evening. The moment I pushed the door in, I saw a pair of shadowy eyes looking at me from a distance. A thin man with cheeks that almost shrank into his mouth, unrecognizable. I sat down across from him and looked around. No need to look. I'm alone. The man in front of me, clearly around younger than me, is cleaned up and speaks Mandarin with an accent from both sides of the border. I nodded. Say what you have to say. It's simple. $500,000 to keep quiet. The man leans back and raises his legs. Although he was pretending to be calm, I knew he was extremely nervous, and the muscles in his face were involuntarily twitching slightly. I could even hear his heart beating rapidly. Why? I asked him. $500,000 always buys understanding, right? Oh, ... single quotes. He lowered his legs and leaned his body forward again. Don't I make myself clear? Since you're here, it means you know what I know, right? Do you? Tell me what you know, and I'll see if it's worth $500,000. This time, it was my turn to lean back. He was a little impatient, but was clearly forcing down impatience. He subconsciously avoided my stare and sighed as he began to speak. Although your video suggests that you went to Suan Teng County in Laos a few days ago for a 4-day wilderness survival activity, you actually used that time to smuggle yourself back into the country and murder Lian Qintao at a construction site on the outskirts of Kunming. The news of Lian Qintao's death had been announced in the news, and everyone knew about it. Nonsense. I said, you also made it clear that 4 days. My video completely covered all of the 4 days. 4 days and 4 nights. How could I have time to go back to my country? He clapped his hands. Even though you did it stealthily and the video was cut perfectly, I just knew. Knew what? I know that you went to Suan Teng County in Laos around this time last year. You claimed to the public that you were on a solo field trip in the mountains of Pu'er. Hey. And you even took some video photos of the trip to back up your claim. Of course, as a fan, it's unlikely that you would question your trip. After all, it's too normal for a wilderness survival expert to go ziplining. Those videos were just something you found time to take before you went to Laos last year. Seeing that I didn't say anything, he smiled and continued. Of course, as I said, you actually went to Suan Thang District in Laos last year. At that time, You didn't leave the border normally through the Munkum port, but smuggled yourself there. The reason why you had to smuggle yourself across was, of course, so as not to leave an entry and exit record, and you didn't really want people to know about it. I signaled him to continue. What did you do in Swan Thon district of Laos last year? He put both hands together. Quite simply, you had a wilderness survival session at a campsite. You built a fire, set traps, and hunted some small animals for food. You were also about to craft a bow, but it didn't work out. Because of your finger. He pointed to the broken finger on my left hand. It's broken. That wilderness survival last year lasted the same 4 days, and then you packed up your belongings and left as usual. You also made videos and interacted with your fans on them. You said you couldn't broadcast live because of the poor signal in the wilderness of the camp, so you could only videotape. But actually, ... He smiled, meaning I know it by heart. In fact, you didn't release this video at all. Because releasing this video taken last year was not at all the purpose of your smuggling to Laos for wilderness survival. Your purpose was to cut this video into the video you shot this year, thus making up a complete wilderness survival video. I propped my chin on my right hand and smiled as he explained. Yes, the wilderness survival video you posted yesterday is actually made up of 2 clips. The first one was shot during your trip to Laos this time, while the latter video was shot this time last year. You cut these 2 videos into one complete video covering the 4 days of your current wilderness survival event. Of those 4 days of video, only the first day's content was indeed filmed this time, while the last 3 days' content was all from last year. Bullshit. I didn't move. You also saw that I broke my finger on the first day, and I couldn't do a lot of things on the following 3 days because of my finger inconvenience. You did break your finger on the first day of this wilderness survival, but you did it on purpose. You planned all this last year. When you were filming in Laos last year, you pretended that your finger was broken just so you could pick up this year's video. Funny. All you did was to cover up your actions the next day. The next day, you rode a motorbike through the jungle and smuggled yourself into the country from the Laosian border. You went to a construction site on the outskirts of Kunming, blended in with the crowd, and killed Lian Qintao when he wasn't looking. When he said killed him, he stared me in the eye. I knew he wanted to see my reaction, but I looked back at him without blinking. About the time he didn't get the feedback he was expecting, he withdrew his gaze and continued, after you killed him, you went back to Laos by the same route on the motorbike you hid in the woods. The reason you went back was to complete your wilderness survival plan. But more importantly, to create an entry record back from Laos. Am I right? The corner of my mouth quirked. Of course I'm right, he affirmed. The official entry and exit records will corroborate for you that you weren't present at the time of Lian Qintao's death. Why would I create an alibi? I asked. Because you know the police may be investigating you. Why would the police investigate me? Because ... He seemed to think about it. It doesn't matter. Because you have a grudge against Lian Qintao. Not bad. I know you have a grudge against him. You are avenging Z Lily.